straight to my presentation, which is about integrality. Mr. Delasario is asking me what it's all about. It's exactly the question I want you to ask. What is integrality? Let me explain to you. But first of all, allow me to introduce to you the organization that I have founded in pursuit of what I stand for, which is the Institute for Integrality. We promote integral human development. We are Asia's first and only integrality trainers. Our corporate mission is to inspire people to live integrated lives. So again, I'm sure at this point you're already asking, what is integrality? In fact, the question of Mr. Delasario is that in the dictionary? Yes, it is. And this is precisely the question I want to answer and explain. Integrality is basically our response to chronic stress, double life, moral hypocrisy, corruption, burnout, and physical, emotional, psychological, family breakdowns. These are all happening in society, right? And it addresses the problem of fragmentation or brokenness. So now the question is, what is brokenness? Before talking about integrality, I'd like to explain or expound some more on the notion of brokenness. Brokenness comes in different forms. One is being absent to oneself, being at a loss in oneself, meaning there's a disjoint between who you are and what you present yourself to be. There's a difference between the inner self and the outer self. But this absence to oneself is actually a form of self-deception. What comes out is just a social construction. It's not a reflection of who you are inside, of the inner self. Brokenness is also the absence of role-person merger. It's like, in your professional life, it's just like a role enactment, meaning there could be 2-3 versions of yourself. You have Maria version 1.0, Maria version 2.0, and so on. Such that there is no merger between the role one plays and the person that he really is. And so the person is asking, who am I? Who am I really? So the person could be very much confused. It could also be in the form of the split between the values we profess and our daily lives. It could also be in this form, a compartmentalized life. Okay? This is with lack of moral strength and moral consistency, which are the attributes of a whole person. A person steps in the office is different, and it's different it's totally different from the person outside the organizational boundaries. There's a professional life, the personal life, the social life, the Christian life, at may secret life pa. You know this. So, in this kind of life, a person could be switching off his conscience in some compartments of his life. And so, there are compartmentalizations in a person. There could also be different forms of brokenness within one's professional life. It's being absent oneself within the context of work. Can you relate to any of these? Sometimes, no? Sometimes, right? Also could come in this form. You're overworked, you're underpaid, you're demoralized. This is one form of brokenness as well. If we look deeper into the root causes of these issues, we realize that there are particular challenges in the context of business and society in the last quarter of the century. And these are the signs of the times explained in the first part of this document, the vocation of the business leader. And let me walk you through that, relating it to the brokenness that I have just shown you. First is globalization. Of course, it has brought with it new threats and new opportunities. You have free movement of goods and services. Products and services are more affordable to us. But among the key characteristics of the free market is independence, which would also translate to less accountability. And this, leaving the markets alone, the free market values, could translate to this mentality of leave me alone, being independent and being less accountable to the rest of society. This social scientist, Hofstede, made a survey, a cultural dimension survey, and one of the dimensions he looked at was individualism. If you look at this figure, those in red are those areas with high levels of individualism. You think about it, the same countries in red are those very countries that were hit by the financial crisis in recent years, right? The EU and the US, and it goes parallel with the level of individualism that they have. Second is in the field of communication technology, which has ushered in a world of instant gratification and overabundance of information. In this kind of world, every message becomes a priority and the urgent drives out the important, and you're so confused because you are just so overwhelmed with so much information, right? This is the world that the millennials are facing. However, Tom Peters, more famous for In Search for Excellence book, warned us that we are starving, we are drowning in information and starved in knowledge. The problem here is that there is no time for well-studied and thoughtful decisions. And this is true, right? This is true. This is the problem of the millennials. And in this kind of scenario, reasoned judgments become difficult. However, what we have to think about is that human flourishing can only proceed and it demands reasoning well. The third challenge presented to us in that document, which could explain the brokenness, is this: the financialization of the economy. And the very symptoms of this are commoditization and short-termism. Commoditization means seeing everything, including people, as commodity. And short-termism is just looking at the short run, regardless of the future consequences of your action. When my professor is here, Dr. Tihanki, showed us this film, Inside Job, in our class, it really kept me thinking. It showed the corruption that happened in the US and the financial markets. It really kept me wondering, how could they have squandered the retirement fund of old people? How could they have thought of getting pinstripe jets? Or how could they go home with billions of dollars of CEOs after their companies were bailed out by the government? What do they need so much money for? Those are the questions that kept ringing in my mind. And I said, this is really the path to slavery. And to me, my interpretation of that title is that it's an inside job because the corruption happened inside a person. And what we see is a phenomenon called pleonexia, or the insatiability for more and more and more and more. I started out in the field of economic analysis, and I was into that for almost 8 years, and I was looking at the different economic crises: the Mexican crisis in the 80s, the Asian crisis, financial crisis in the 90s, and then the US and the EU crisis in the first quarter of the 21st century. And believe me, they boil down to the same causes. And these are the ones I listed: overspending, overborrowing, huge debts, misalignment of funds, generally a crisis of capitalism. The bottom line causes are also the same stories. unhealthy competition, individualism, consumerism, inequality, and greed. And the root of all root causes is values deficit. This explains the crisis of trust, the crisis of inequality, and the crisis of sustainability that we are facing now. Lastly, the challenge of cultural changes, the challenge of individualism, relativism, and utilitarianism. Individualism means that people focus on what works for me, independent of the effects on others. Values are seen as relative and measured by their contribution to the individual, preferences, and business gains. And rights become much more important than duties, and sacrifice for a larger good takes a backseat. Utilitarianism is when you view persons in terms of, in economics, you call utils. It's much like usefulness. I did a content analysis of how training institutions present persons, and these are among the quotes that I got in their promotional materials. More skills, more talents. Your people need to be led to produce the needed results. Skill focus, final destination of talent. But again, kept me wondering, is this all that we are worth? And further, I looked at some learning models, lifelong learning models. It is one of an author I really like, but I was saddened to see this model of lifelong learning model, which ends in competitive capacity. So I asked myself, is that all I am worth? My competitive capacity. I'm sure you will disagree. You will agree with me that you're worth more than your competitive capacity. In this and many other similar models, human dignity could be missed. But I tell you, here's a fact. Each person is endowed with an irreducible dignity or value. You have an intrinsic value. Each person is a who, not a what, a someone, not a something. And this dignity, you possess it by virtue of being human, by being a person. It's never an achievement, it's never a gift, it can never be lost, forfeited, or taken away from you. It is intrinsic in you. It's regardless of the properties and the circumstances that you have. You enjoy this human dignity. But utilitarianism has made us view persons, the worth of persons as equivalent to their wages, their remuneration, their salary, their output, and the value of the organization equivalent to profit. Again, the question is that all there is to it? Is that the only value of an organization? Profit. Think about it. St. John Paul II courageously faced this battle against utilitarianism. He said, all work is ultimately for the person is not for work. In his book, Love and Responsibility, he explained the meaning of the word to use, of the verb to use, which is to employ some object of action as a means to an end. And he also points out that any person who treats a person as a means to an end does violence to the very essence of the person. And it is true. He also made a critique of economism, that the problem lies in considering man solely for his economic purpose. We focus too much on what man can produce, all those things that will come out of there, but we miss the source of all those, which is man, and we forget the welfare of man. Let's not forget that there are two dimensions of work, the objective and the subjective dimensions of work. In the objective dimension, you focus on what you are producing, but on the subjective dimension, you focus on what you are becoming, how human dignity is achieved by the subject of work through work. Okay. But what is often missed, sad to say, is the subjective dimension. Sometimes we ourselves forget to consider for ourselves, am I really becoming the person I ought to become? It would be good to ask this question every so often to yourself. Let's not forget that the highest reward for man's toil is not what he gets from it, but what he becomes by it. The successor of John Paul, who also seconded his plea for greater humanism in Caritas in Veritate and Encyclical, he wrote, "Integral human development, that man is the source, the focus, and the aim of all economic and social life. Social institutions exist not just for their own sake, but for the integral human development of persons. Business must be at the service of integral human development. And for businesses, it's important to recognize its transcendent goal. It has to be reached and considered. So with all these thoughts, you might be feeling heavy already because I've been talking about negative things, brokenness, etc. I myself, considering all these insights and thoughts, I myself experienced a turning point in my professional life. Starting with the integrality theory of the person, I've decided to pursue as my profession the promotion of integral human development. And this is the prehistory of our company, the Institute for Integrality Incorporated. At this point, I'd like to acknowledge the De La Salle community, the College of Business, and for their DBA program, their MBA program, for inspiring our students to be able to reach these realizations. I acknowledge Dr. Delaifo, Dr. Edwin, Dr. Habaradas, and of course, my dissertation advisor, Dr. Dinan. Thank you. Let's give them a big hand for such an influence that they're doing to all of us and for all the inspiration we get from them. Now, going back to the integrality theory of the person, at the very core of it is the distinction between means and ends. The starting point in this theory I made is that the value of the human person, from which integral human development interventions are derived. I refuse to use human resource because workers are not resources, and so I prefer human development interventions. And from there, integrality could be achieved. Mediation is created by human development interventions which serve to promote integral human development. And mediating the leadership that understands the notion of integrality will facilitate that process. Let me go through the elements of that model. They're reflected in the mission, vision, in the corporate branding, in the management styles, and even in the physical setup of an office is the corporate value of the human person, the starting point of the model. Essentially, what we were advocating in the institute follows what the psychologist David Matheson espoused: the need for organizations to facilitate an environment wherein the total and integrated development of the individual could take place. There is a reciprocity between the person and his environment, and this will provide a deep foundation for human development. In this kind of framework or perspective of persons, there is leadership and following the nature and nurture interaction. Now, as to the process or the mediation, I refer to the human development interventions. I showed here the extreme ends of human development interventions. You have on the left side, those are solely focused on efficiency-oriented programs, and the right side would be integral and holistic approaches to human development. On the leftmost side, could trace it from the time of Taylor and Fayol, 1911, 1937. And sadly, for them, human development is about reaching a state of maximum efficiency. And that's so stressful for the worker, right? Now, in the middle part, you already have people like Drucker and MacGregor, who recognize the other dimensions of man, the need to take care of the whole man, the need to, Drucker pointed out that you don't just hire a hand, you hire an entire person. There's a person that comes with a hand. And so you need a more positive view of man. But even if they recognized the other dimensions of man, it's still not what they espouse. They're not yet complete as to what's ideal in terms of human development interventions. On the right side, the ones who captured the best approach to human development would be the Catholic social teaching, because it's based on two main pillars: the inviolable dignity of the human person and the transcendent value of moral norms. Catholic social teaching puts all people and the whole person as its main goal, which is precisely what we stand for. And I invite you to also take that stand. Now, zeroing in on integrality, or the dependent variable in my integrality theory of the person, the question, what is integrality? It comes from the word integral, which means possessing everything essential. And it comes from the Latin word integer, and integers pertain to whole numbers, right? Not 1/4, not 0.75, etc., but whole numbers. So it pertains to wholeness. It is the achievement of integral human development, which is defined by Plenary as the advancement and growth of every man and of the whole man. In other words, the truth of development consists in its completeness. That is the only time when there is real development. This is because each person is a whole rather than a part. My first venture into promoting integrality consisted of simply this: addressing the full range of needs of people. To me, in the beginning, this was sufficient to promote integral human development: physical, mental, social, emotional, spiritual, etc. But then I realized you can't say that there's wholeness just by having all these. It's not yet complete. Then I added the reason for addressing the full range of needs of the human person, which is the achievement of bottom line objectives. You have their personal enrichment, happiness, fulfillment, purposefulness, and completeness. However, I continued thinking and realized that still something is missing in this framework that I will be following. Because even if, say, for the physical development, even if I spend so many hours in the gym, it doesn't necessarily lead to my fulfillment or purposefulness or mental. Even if one possesses 5 PhDs, it doesn't necessarily translate to happiness. Social, even if you have so many contacts and networks, you're not necessarily complete. Even for spiritual, even if you have read so many spiritual books, doesn't necessarily translate to fulfillment. You see, it's not just a matter of accumulating hours in the gym or PhD degrees or contacts or networks. Life's meaning is not found in accumulation. In between the development and the bottom line objectives, you and I face a battle. Yeah? And this is the battle against our own and society's brokenness, which could make our directions unclear. One can be present and yet absent oneself. One can have 5 PhDs and yet still in search of who she is. There can be a gap between who you are and how you project yourself to be. The question now is, how do you become present to yourself, such that you're able to achieve mastery of yourself and direct yourself to your rightful direction? Now, as I was thinking about this, what's missing in this framework, I found the answer in the principle espoused by St. John Paul II, which is the principle of self-determination. In his book, The Acting Person, he explains that you are the acting person. Nobody else can be held liable for your direction or for your lack of direction. The way to do this is to look into your inner self, which is where that integration has to happen. It is where you collect yourself into a whole. In this process, reflection and consciousness go hand in hand. So I then revised that framework and added what was missing, which is the process of integration. How do you really become a whole person? Okay. So again, let me begin. Integrality presupposes that a person is able to achieve the 5 aspects of integral human development: physical, mental, social, spiritual, and emotional. Now, these aspects of development need to be harmonized in the inner self, which is where integration happens. And integrality is achieved through the inner integration of the person. It's a state wherein the person experiences that he is master of himself, that he is present to himself and not at a loss about himself. There is that self-presence which was lacking a while ago when I presented brokenness. There is that self-presence through the use of man's power, which are two basically, the intellect and the will, alongside emotions in the body. We have to use these powers that we have in a conscious and purposeful manner through reflection, given any context. Because reflection empowers the intellect to connect all the things that you will be presented later on, all the things that you're studying, scientific, technological, economic, business, and social, political insights, to answer the question, what is my purpose in this world? And how do I align all these insights so that they are positioned towards that achievement of my purpose? Then in terms of the will, reflection will also help us to want the good, tap our creativity, to direct ourselves to the good, and to foster that dominion over our actions. And so it will answer the question, how will I carry out my purpose in the world? How will I make that possible? All these will make a person into an insightful, reflective, self-mastered, and integrated person. So with that, I was able to tell myself that completes my model of integration. I have a version of that, visual version of that. On the left side, you have a person who is able to gather the 5 aspects of development, but still that those are still outside him. And then in the middle, you have a person who is able to integrate in his inner self everything towards his purpose through the use of his human powers of intellect and the will. On the right side is a person able to incarnate his bottom line objectives through his very own self. That is why he's the one at the top of the throne. It is his own self already. And so the answer to brokenness, or being basag as opposed to buo, is harmonizing one's intellect, will and emotions through the process of inner integration, which happens in our inner self. And our logo captures that. Essentially, what I'm saying is that the integrating factor, what will integrate you as a person, is purpose. So the big question is, what is your purpose in this world? What is the purpose for which you were created? I invite you to take time in this wonderful city of Baguio to think about this question. What is my purpose? Which is also about defining your mission. When you do strategic planning, this is usually the starting point. You define the mission. What is your core purpose? Why do you exist? What is the reason for your being? See, this eagle, for example, it is meant to soar. It is its reason for being. Or imagine Rapunzel, if she is bald. Imagine Rapunzel bald. She loses the essence of being Rapunzel, right? So, did I drive on the corner? Yes. You might tell me, Miss Cristine, no speed naman yung mga sinasabi mo. But you see, I have this firm belief that all of us have that openness to these ideas because we have that openness to transcendence. And because it is part of our uniqueness as a person. Man is not all body like animals. We have this capacity, and I would like to tap into that capacity that each and every one of us has. And this has been recognized in different fields. Abraham Maslow, for example, in his later years, criticized his own model, wherein he just provided 5 basic needs. In his later years, he expanded it from 5 to 8 to include at the top transcendence needs. So this is a new version. And more recent models of motivation for the organization also recognize transcendence. For example, this one, Argandona, from Europe, listed the types of goods or motivators to include extrinsic, intrinsic, or transcendent. Extrinsic goods are those that exist outside the person, intrinsic those inside the person. But the transcendent goods are those which a person seeks not for himself but for others. So if you're a manager and you're just targeting extrinsic goods, you're gonna leave your employees still at a level wherein they will feel that emptiness at some point. Unless you reach the transcendent motivators, then you will have happy, fulfilled, and insightful workers. So the challenge is not to remove extrinsic system, but to integrate it with the transcendent goal of business. In McIntyre's critique of business, he also hinted the same principle of transcendence, saying that the challenge now is to have a morality of being, not just a morality of doing. One of my favorite versions of this, when I explain transcendence, is Dr. Noto's work, leisure, and integration matrix. Integration depends on how you work and how you rest. Depending on how you work and how you rest, that is how you are living your life. At the first level, if you see work as a job where it's just about getting your salary, your dream car, your benefits, it will be so tiring that rest is just about amusement. You just want to forget the difficulties of work. So you have comfort food, YouTube, just forgetting, just to forget, spending to amuse yourself. If that is the case, your life is just about gratification. If that is the case, you will be left still empty at that level. A higher level, but still not complete, would be when you see your work as your career, wherein it's a venue to move from one level, then to another level, and then to a higher level, moving from until you reach something like the Tower of Babel. and you want to reach the heavens for yourself. In this case, rest would be for you something that is useful, some utility, what is useful for you would be rest. In this case, if this is the kind of framework or perspective that you will adopt for your life, will be left empty as well, because life will just be about achievement. The last level, which is the ideal one, is to see work as a vocation. To see work as our contribution. It's a venue for self-giving. It's a venue to give ourselves to others, to the rest of society. Now, if this is the case, you will see leisure as rest, taking breaks to receive more strength and direction through contemplation. Now, if this is the case, how you will integrate your life is that it will be about integrity, truthfulness. There is the congruence between what is seen and what is spoken. And there is a congruence between what is inside and what is outside. In this case, there is a proper ordering of having, doing, and being. So, if I may ask you, where are you in? It's good to examine in which level you are in right now. For the third level, I'd like to segue to the habit of reflection, and I'm close to finishing. Within the 24 hours of each day, you see it's important for us to dedicate time for reflection. Mr. Rosario mentioned it. Reflection. We need to collect ourselves, we need to put ourselves together into a whole. And this third level also points to the social order of work, which basically implies that personal growth is a function of relational growth. Meaning that if a person denies another what he values for himself, paradoxically, he stunts his own development. That's the sad part. And that's a reality. Moreover, the social order of work demands that a community of workers is built on the occasion of work. You don't just create a nexus of contracts in the context of work. You need to create a nexus of relationships. The first should be a place wherein workers are enriched through habits, skills, dispositions, relationships, satisfactions, etc. Now, my favorite economist is Amartya Sen, and he said this: the rational economic man is like a social moral. In his quest for self-interest, he ignores duties to others. So, the call now is for us to move from being just homo economicus to becoming homo solidarius, meaning to outgrow that homo economicus, just focusing on what is economic, material, to being people who promote solidarity, applying the golden rule to economic decision making. Now, the big challenge is ultimately the integrality of the gift of self, because wholeness is only achieved within the context of gift. You cannot achieve wholeness without giving yourself to others. It is the logic of gift which serves as the agent of integration that will bring about the new humanistic synthesis for the markets, the state, and civil society, and this is the model presented in Grasso. It is, what I'm saying is that it is selfless, self-preservation, not selfish, self-destruction, which will bring about integrality. So I've been thinking about the definition of economics that I have eaten the past years, 30 years of my professional life, and it is this: economics is the study it's the study of alternative uses for alternative wants. It's a study of the allocation of scarce resources for alternative uses and to satisfy alternative wants. Yeah. So, scarcity is very much stated as a given. which makes it easy to succumb to competition, individualism, short-termism, all the negative isms, right? However, I started to think, why did we just accept that definition wherein scarcity is the given? Why can't we start at abundance? And with this logic of gift, abundance of creation can become a shared vision, not scarcity as a common problem. And so, I end by inviting you to foster and build a culture of abundance through integrality. Thank you very much.